All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Hachodash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to the elect. This is Brother Lawyer from Great Millstone, Miami, and the topic of this lesson is going to be based off a headline from HuffPost.com. Okay. All right. It says military commander tells troops bombing Iran is part of God's divine plan. Okay. All right. And, we know that the leaders of this world have their idea or, their agenda on, what they believe these wars they're fighting are, whether it be a misinterpretation of scripture or their NWO or fighting for resources or control, etc. All right. But truth be told, according to the scriptures, these wars, these constant wars that are being fought over there in the Middle East, all right, are part of the Lord's divine plan. Okay. All right. To destroy the armies of these nations and to, have Babylon the Great, which is America, be destroyed by fire. Okay. And afterwards set up the kingdom of heaven. Okay. All right. That's what the whole plan is. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai's plan, not what the elites are planning. Okay. Not what these military generals and presidents and kings are planning, but the power and will of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and what he has planned. So, I just want to, go into this lesson, man. I'm going to start here with Joel chapter 3. Okay. This is Joel chapter 3. All right. I don't know why it took me to Revelation, Joel chapter 3 and verse 1, right? It says, "For behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Jerusalem, of Judah and Jerusalem." All right. So, the Israelites would be in captivity in the last days, but the Lord is going to deliver them from the lands of their captivity, right? It says, "I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." Okay, so the Israelites have been scattered amongst the nations and held captive amongst all these other nations. Okay, all right, which is exactly what happened. All right, and so, not only that, but the heathen are fighting for a land that's not theirs. Okay. All right. You got heathen over there in the land of Yasharallah, in the Holy Land. Okay. Defiling it. Okay. And claiming it's theirs and fighting in endless wars to maintain their control over that region. Okay. So the Lord is bringing all these nations into that region of the earth, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the so-called Middle East. Okay. So that he can judge, or as it's written here, plead with them. Okay. Contend with them for what they've done to his people. Okay. All right. It says, "And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink." Okay. So they have, sold the Lord's people. Okay. All right. Made merchandise out of the Lord's people. We know about what they've done to you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, all over the world, man. Okay. How they've enslaved you, how they've enslaved us, subjugated us. Okay. Made merchandise of us to build their kingdoms and amass wealth unto themselves. So the Lord is going to bring judgment upon them for that. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to jump down to verse 9. Okay. Because that's the whole point. That's why the Lord is gathering them all over there. They may believe, that they are fighting these wars for resources and control over territories. All right. To establish some kind of new world system, to settle old squabbles and beefs and all of this border, but really it's really the Lord puppeteering them and gathering them together so he can judge them for what they've done to his people. Okay. All right. Joel chapter 3, verse 9, it says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, which is the heathen nations, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong." So the Lord is gathering the nations, man. He's gathering and waking up the mighty men to prepare war. All right. Okay. to gather them into the valley of Jehoshaphat, man. They're focusing their economies on war. Okay, even these once so-called weaker nations, man, are preparing and posturing for war. Okay, against one another, mainly against Babylon the Great, America. Okay, which is all going to lead to the destruction of Babylon the Great, America by fire. Okay, but also these other nations and their armies will be destroyed and dismantled as well. Okay, it says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about to the cause of thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Okay, so the Lord is the one that's gathering them to come down into the valley of Jehoshaphat so he can judge them. Okay, it says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. All right, so the Lord is going to judge them all round about for what they've done to his people. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. So the Lord is likening the gathering of the heathen into the valley of Jehoshaphat like unto a wine press. Okay, in the ancient world, you had a wine press. It was a gigantic vat or container where you would fill with grapes. Okay, and you would have strong men. Okay, get up in there and stomp the grapes out till the blood of the grape came out. Okay, so it could produce wine. All right, so the Lord is gathering all the heathen, okay, and their armies into the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right, so he can crush them all at one time, man. Okay, why? Because the wickedness that they've done in the earth is great. This is the time of judgment. Okay, it says, verse 14, it says, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. So that's what the Lord is doing, man. He's bringing them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and it's going to be where he makes a decision. All right, his decree and his judgment upon all the heathen for what they've done, the wickedness that they've done in the earth and to his people. Okay, it's going to be a lot of bloodshed. Okay, of course, they're going to be fighting one against another, but the Lord, Yahweh, is going to send his son Yahweh Shai and the holy angels to rain fire and brimstone down upon the heathens and their armies. Okay. All right. It says the sun and the moon shall be darkened and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And the Lord also shall roar out of Zion and shall utter his voice from Jerusalem. And the heavens and the earth shall shake, but the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. So in that day, the Israelites, beginning with the elect, will be delivered, man. But it's going to be a great and horrible judgment and sight, man. Okay. All right. This day is going to block out the sun and the moon, man. The smoke, the debris of this fire and brimstone, this war that the Lord is bringing to the earth, is going to block out the sky, block out the light of the celestial bodies. Okay. And shake the heavens and the earth, man. Okay. But in that day, the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. So the elect are going to be delivered. They're going to have hope of salvation in that day. Okay. Now I'm going to also go to, let's see, gather the nations that I may assemble the kingdoms. Okay. All right. This is Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8. It says, therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. All right. So we're to wait upon the Lord, man. This is what the Lord is doing, man. You heathen nations are the Lord's prey. Okay. All right. It says, for my determination is to gather the nations. All right. That's the Lord's determination, man. That I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy, man. Okay, so the Lord is going to gather the nations and their armies into the valley of Jehoshaphat to rain fire and brimstone upon them as they're fighting with each other. Okay, all right, over their New World Order system, their conflicts, old beefs that they have, whatever, for control over the region. The Lord is gathering them there while they're fighting with each other. He's gonna be gathering them there to rain fire upon them. Okay, that's the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Okay, all right, because the will of the Lord, that's what's gonna stand, man. All right, and the Bible talks about this multiple places throughout the scriptures, and that's exactly what's gonna happen, man. Okay, let me see here. All right. Second Ezra 13 also goes into it as well. Okay. This is Second Ezra chapter 13. And verse 29, it says, "Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth." Okay. So this is talking about the deliverance of the elect. All right. And it says, "He shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another." Okay. So they're going to be fighting. These nations are going to be fighting against each other. Okay. It's going to be all out war. As it says, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Okay. It says, "And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the sign shall happen when I shewed, which I shewed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending." Okay. So Yahushua is going to return in the midst of all this conflict. Okay. All right. He's going to return in the chariots, which the world calls UFOs. Those are the chariots of God, man. Okay. All right. And the chariot, the Yahushua is going to come, and it's going to be so large that it's going to seem like a mountain cut out of place. You won't be able to see the one end of it from the other. Okay. And it says, "When all the people shall hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another." Okay. All right. So they're going to leave the battle. So they're going to be fighting with each other over there in the Middle East, blowing each other up, shooting missiles and shit, killing each other, man, by the thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions, man. All right. And it says, "An innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them willing to come and to overcome him by fighting." So they're going to leave. They're going to be fighting each other, and they're going to stop in the middle of the fight to join forces to try to fight against the Lord. Okay. "But he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Zion," which is talking about the chariot. Okay. "And Zion shall come and shall be shewed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into a tempest." So Yahushua is going to come back to rebuke them, all right, with a tempest, man, which is talking about the fire from the chariots, man. That's what the Lord is coming to do to all the armies of the nations. Okay. This is why it says in Isaiah 66, all right, it says, "The Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many." So Yahushua is coming to rain fire and brimstone upon the armies of the nations, okay, and destroy them all. It says, "And shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a fire, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto me." Okay. So it's going to be very quick, man. Yahushua is going to eviscerate and evaporate their armies in a blink of an eye, man. It's not going to be a long, drawn-out fight, man, because it's the power of man and his devices versus the power of God that y'all getting ready to deal with, man. Okay, all right, and only only the Lord's coming out of that exchange with a victory, man. The rest of you motherfuckers gonna be destroyed, man. Okay, it's gonna be wonderful, man. Hey. Look, man, all these things taking place in the world, man, we read a lot of what the news says, and we hear a lot about, what's going on in the world, man. And a lot of that is just talk, man. They have their, like the scriptures say, their vain imaginations. Okay. Psalm chapter 2 talks about how the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing. Okay. So they have their vain thoughts and their vain imaginations about what they think they're going to accomplish and do. But that's not necessarily what the will of the Lord is. And that's all that really matters, man. Okay. Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? All right. That's what the Lord is getting ready to do, man. Okay. The Lord is gathering them specifically so he can destroy all of them at one time. Okay. All right. And once he crushes their armies and their kingdoms, all right, he's going to be the one to reign in the earth. Okay. All right. This is Revelation 19:11. It says, "And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness doth he judge and make war." All right, so Yahushua himself is coming back to wage war. A lot of people have this notion that the Messiah is going to come back and hand out, roses and sunflowers and daisies. That's not how it's going down. He's coming back to wage war against the inhabitants of the earth, man. Okay. And this wicked kingdom, which is the head of it, is Babylon the Great. America, and America itself is going to be destroyed by fire in this third world war. Okay. All right. It says his eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself, and he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of the Most High. All right, which again is talking about Yahweh Shai, the Son of the Most High. Okay, and why is his vesture dipped in blood? Because he's gonna come back. He's coming back to shed a lot of blood. He's coming back to destroy a lot of people, man. Okay, it says, and the armies which are in heaven followed him upon white horses, which represents the angels and the chariots. Okay, so that begs the question, why is he coming back with armies, man? Okay, again, all this talk, people have these notions about the Lord, man. Why is he coming back with armies, man? You don't come back with an army to just march and you come in with an army to fight, man. You come in with an army to wage war. Okay, it says, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. Okay, which means what? Yahweh Shai is just going to speak the word. Okay, and the chariots are going to get to blasting you people into bits. Okay, turning you into dust and smoke. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw, which again, this is the wrath of the Lord. The Lord is doing this to execute his vengeance and his wrath against the nations, man. Okay. All right. It says, and I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. So the Lord is going to call the birds and the fowls of heaven vultures, and hawks and eagles, buzzard, type of creatures, man. And they're gonna come to eat the flesh of the corpses of these slain men. Okay. And it says, and I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. All right. So they're going to try to fight against the Lord, while they fight with each other. Yahweh Shai is going to come back in the midst of it, and they're going to try to fight him and the angels, man. OK. And the beast was taken, which means what? That they got their asses kicked. And with him, the false prophet that wrought miracles before him. Okay, which the false prophet represents the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, so they're going to be destroyed as well, and all the religions of this world. Okay, all these false philosophies and idols with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshiped his image. Okay, so all these people that have taken the mark of the beast, or will take the mark of the beast, which is the RFID technology, getting implanted into their arms or in their foreheads so that they might buy or sell. Okay, which shows their allegiance to this beast system. The Lord's going to destroy them along with the beast system. Okay, they both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. Oh my God. So they're all going to be burned alive. Okay, it says, and the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceedeth out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. Okay. All right, so destruction is coming. That's the whole will of Yahweh Shai. Okay, all right. The Lord is bringing this war so that this system of this world can go up in flames, so that a new one can be established. Okay, all right. What I do want to go to Revelation 21. All right, and verse 2, it says, and I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Which, when you go to the word Jerusalem there, okay. All right, it says, Jerusalem, or the New Jerusalem, a splendid visible city to be let down from heaven after the renovation of the world, the future abode of the blessed. Okay, so this world has to be renovated first. All right, and that renovation is going to come by fire, man. Okay. That's when the new heavens and the new earth will be established. Granted, that doesn't mean that the earth itself will be totally destroyed. Nah, but this whole system of this world that's reigning right now, that's controlling the world right now. All right. that's in opposition of the Lord, that's what's going to go up in flames, and a new kingdom will be established. And the center of that kingdom will be New Jerusalem, which is going to be ruled by Yahushua and his elect. Okay. And righteous order will dominate the earth forever. Okay. All right. But first, this current system of this current world has to go up in flames. And that's what that's what it's all leading up to, man. That's why it says in Revelation, the 11th chapter. Okay. Revelation 11. It says what? All right. It says verse 14, it says the second woe is past and the third woe cometh quickly, which the three woes are World War I, World War II, and World War III. Okay. All right. It says, so after this world war, after this third world war, what's going to happen? Is the world going to be just a desolate wilderness? The earth just going to be a desolate wilderness and nobody live like what they show you in the movies? It's like 3 people that survived, the apocalypse, as they call it. And then everybody else got destroyed and that's it. No. Okay. All right. It says, and the 7th angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and his anointed, and he shall reign forever and ever. Okay. So there you go. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be, this World War III is going to be used as a transition, okay, from this current age to the age of Yahushua and his kingdom. Okay. All right. So this world has to be renovated. This destruction has to come. All right. To usher in the kingdom of heaven. Okay. All right. And I'm going to close out with, I believe that's 2 Peter. 2 Peter chapter 2. Okay. No, 2 Peter chapter 3. I'm sorry. Verse 10, it says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Okay. So the day of the Lord, the day that the Lord is going to return. All right. This whole system is going to pass away with a great noise, man. Okay. What's the noise going to be? The nuclear missiles. All right. The trumpet sound from the chariots, the destruction. I'm pretty sure when the Lord start blasting fire from the chariots, it's going to be very noisy, man, because the Lord wants everybody's attention. Okay. And the elements shall melt with fervent heat because it's going to be fire. All right. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Okay. So their armies, their technology, their missiles, these buildings, these cities. Okay. They're going to be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of the Most High, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. So we looking forward to this destruction. Okay. All right. So what? Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for the new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. And that's what we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to the kingdom of heaven being established. All right. As a result of this destruction, the Lord has to, overturn this whole system by fire. Okay. So that a new kingdom can be established the same way, in which we always go into this, in 2nd Ezra, it talks about how if the place where the evil is sown be not overturned and turned upside down, then can it not come that is sown with good? All right. So let's say you're getting ready to plant a garden, but before you do that, you have to till the ground. You have to take out the stones. You got to turn the soil over. You got to pull out the weeds. Okay. You got to take out the trash. If there's trash there, you got to take out the trash so that you can actually plant your garden on fertile soil, on good ground. Okay. So that's what the Lord has to do. So this place, the earth, as the Lord intended it to be, paradise ruled by righteous kings and priests. That's what his intent was. So in order for him to do that, this current wicked system and kingdom and this current fashion of this world has to go up in flames in order for that to happen. And World War III is being used as a catalyst to do that, because it's all the will of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So, with that, Lord willing, this was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem HaKodash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and citations to the elect. Shalom.